Welcome to the Bettis Musgrove Show, the podcast where personal injury legal expertise meets real-world advice to empower and protect you. Join us as we delve into the critical aspects of personal injury cases, break down legal jargon into actionable insights, and share essential safety tips to help you navigate life's unexpected moments. And now, here are your hosts, Spencer Bettis and Ben Musgrove.
Well, welcome to episode number 12 of the Bettis Musgrove Show. As always, I'm Ben Musgrove. This is my law partner, Spencer Bettis. Spencer and I own and operate a boutique law firm here in Cumming, Georgia, where we specialize in personal injury. And several months ago, we started this podcast just to give the general public a little bit more idea of what we do for a living, what personal injury law is. And over the weeks and the months, we've progressed into talking about community involvement. And we're in our third part series on the city of Cumming, local politics and community involvement here. And today we're joined by a special guest, the mayor of Cumming, Georgia, Troy Brumbalow, if I can talk. So thank you for joining us today. We had a great conversation with one of your city councilmen and then also your chief of police. And Dave Bolin told you, I think, to come over here and do this with us. So we appreciate you joining us.
No problem.
We thought we'd start out with just you telling us who you are. Give us a little background on where you came from, what you do for a living, and how you got into being a mayor.
So, been born and raised in Forsyth County. Couldn't imagine living anywhere else. It's been amazing. Married my high school sweetheart, and we've got two kids, and one's married now, and the other one's in college. And started building houses when I was 21 years old, 1993, and continued to do that today, doing remodels and custom homes.
Yeah.
And I'd helped some friends get elected to office, in the past, and the mayor of Cumming, had been here 51 years before me, and he was retiring. And so I went and told him I was going to run, and he changed his mind, and I ran against him. But been the mayor for the past 7 years.
That's awesome. And you've got the building business going on the side, how much of your time is spent doing that versus being mayor?
Yeah, so it changes daily. Like today, I'm pretty much just being the mayor.
Okay.
Tomorrow, it may be 80-20 I'm building,
right.
But the phone never stops. And but what most people don't know, the mayor pays $32 a day.
Okay.
So you got to have another source of income.
Yep.
So, but I always let the city business take top priority, and then work my construction around that.
That's awesome. How many residents are in the city of Cumming?
So we're just under 10,000 people now.
Okay. That's a lot bigger than when I got here 11 years ago. I don't think it was nearly that big.
Yeah. Versus the county. Of course, the county was a lot smaller than two. The county's over 275,000 people.
Okay. So have you always been interested in politics? You said you help people get elected, but is it something you thought you'd do?
No, I mean, I had some mentors try to push me to do it many years ago, and I just didn't have that desire. And then once I helped some people get elected, and what really drove me to do it was Sheriff Piper. He asked me to come figure out where they were wasting money at the sheriff's office.
Yeah.
And so wasting government had always just really bothered me.
Yeah.
And so I agreed to do it. So I was still building, but also working for the sheriff's office. And the first week I was there, saved $1 million out of their budget.
That's incredible.
And I'm like, this is not that hard, simple things like saved $80,000 a year on printer ink.
Mm-hmm.
Buying remanufactured printer ink instead of name brand.
Yeah.
$80,000 a year in one department of one part of the county government.
Yeah.
So when the mayor was going to retire, that's somewhere where I can really make a difference.
Yep.
So
and
that's what drove me to do it.
Have you always lived in the city?
Not always lived in the city, but always lived in the county.
Okay.
And then had lived in the city before running for mayor.
Okay. So tell me about that. You come from contracting to get into politics, and you're running against an incumbent who's been in for 51 years. What was that like? I mean, what was the race what you thought it would be?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's what I liked about it was the city was small enough.
Right.
I literally went and knocked on every door.
Yeah.
So you're able to face-to-face talk to people,
Yep.
you know, and they get to know what you are, who you are, what you're about. You know, the downside of somebody being in there for 5 decades is some doors I'd knock on and they'd say, you got my vote, time for him to go.
Right.
You know, it's just, so it was, you know, it was something that most people didn't think could be accomplished because he had been in office so long.
Yeah.
You know, but, and I really ran because growing up here, you know, we used to come to town. That's where you'd come to congregate.
Right.
See your friends, hang out. We had lost that.
Yeah.
Since my childhood and teenage years. We had become more of a pass-through. And so that was my whole vision for the city center, and why I wanted to run was to create that hometown feel again.
Well, I think you're doing it. I mean, we talked to Chris about it, the city center. My family's there at least weekly.
Right.
I mean, we love it. We used to, you go down to Vickery or you go down to Halcyon, and now we stay here. So
Yep.
It's nice.
That was the goal.
Yeah, y'all did a good job of it.
Thank
you. Go ahead.
Yeah. How was the transition from, I'll call it Sedalia Light to mayor?
So it's pretty eye-opening. You know, everyone has an opinion, and with social media,
Right.
You know, I doubt that anyone would come to City Hall and say some of the things they say, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have to learn how to get thick skin pretty quick. It was a lot harder for my wife than for me, you know.
Yeah. Is she a dental hygienist?
Yeah, she's been doing that for 27 years here in town.
I think she's cleaned my teeth 10 or 12 times.
She knows more people than I do.
Yeah.
So cleaning their teeth.
Multiple conversations with me just going,
Right. She wants to talk to me when I'm in the chair, and I'm like, I can't talk. You got this knife in my mouth.
What do you oversee on? What's a daily basis like?
All right. So being the mayor, and this is contrary to what a lot of people think, you know, the mayor's over the daily operations of the city, right? I don't vote on a subdivision getting approved or a law being enacted. I'm over the daily operations. I run the meetings, but in the history of Cumming, the mayor's never voted to break a tie. And that's the only time I would ever vote to break a tie. So it's literally, you know, today I'm meeting with landscapers. You know, we've built a new Sawney Drive extension to connect Highway 20 to 400.
Yep.
Well, I had to go meet with landscapers to show them, well, these are the trees we want to plant here, 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 and there. You know, meet with the contractors to make sure they're doing things right. But negotiating, you know, contracts when we put something out for bid, trying to get the lowest price, that kind of stuff. So it's, you know, I'm the complaint department. If somebody's trash doesn't get picked up, somehow they call me.
Yeah.
Right. If there's a pothole, they call me, you know, so it's,
Yeah.
I've been, you're the official complaint department, you know.
And you said you've been doing it for 7 years?
Yeah.
In the 7 years, has it changed? Was it more difficult in the beginning? Has it gotten easier, or is it just different?
No, it's pretty much the same.
Yeah.
It's, you'll have, just probably with any job or anything else, you'll have a day that's way worse than,
Right.
you know, the previous 5, or a week or a month, or,
Yeah.
you know, but it ebbs and flows pretty consistently.
How does the city mayor tie in with, say, county government, state government, federal government? Do you have much dealings with them?
Yeah, so we're not connected. You know, we interact with them, like with the county. We have to interact with negotiating, you know, local option sales tax or SPLOST, that kind of stuff, where the money's split between the city and the county. At the state level, it's, you know, I've great relationship with Governor Kemp, and I can call him if I've got a need. That's something that the state can do. Right. So or GDOT, you know, it's, you know, we have state roads running through the city. Well, if we have a problem there, I've got to go deal with somebody from GDOT. Right. And, but I have a great relationship with most of our state representatives, you know, but it's, you know, for the most of part, we take care of ourselves, and, you know, it's just when something arises that's under somebody else's jurisdiction, then you deal with that.
Yeah, and we were talking about it a minute ago, you know, with the hurricanes that we've had over the past couple of weeks that Florida's dealing with, mainly North Carolina. You see a lot of mayors on CNN and Fox News talking about what they need, what they're getting, what they're not getting, that type of thing. And I guess just me thinking about it, I didn't expect that to be really a job for a mayor as much as maybe the state to take charge of. But the mayor seemed to be directly involved with what's going on in their town. So.
Yeah, so it's, the smaller the government, the more responsive, right?
Yeah.
We had a storm a couple of years ago, nothing like what they're going through, but we had downed trees through the city. Well, I left my wife and daughter at home with no power and took my son, and we're out there cutting trees up. I didn't have to do that.
Right.
I felt like that's what I should do.
Yep.
So we're out there cutting trees up and getting them off of Veterans Memorial so traffic can pass.
Yeah.
It's just, most mayors are tied to their, I ran because this is my hometown. I love it.
Sure.
Just feel like that's what you should do.
And I imagine you probably developed a nice little group of people that help you out and support you on things too.
Yep.
Whether it's city councilman or just local residents.
Yep.
Yeah. What you got?
Yeah. What kind of goals do you have in the city going forward? So you saw the city center come to fruition, which is amazing. It's a great thing for the city. What other things would you like to see at?
Yeah. So we're finishing up. I say the bypass north of town from 20 to 400, which I think will greatly help traffic around the square. And I've had conversations with GDOT on that. I think eventually, of course, we're talking 10 years from now, and that's what they've admitted. If they wanted to do it, it would take 10 years, but to actually make a 4-lane bypass of Sawney Drive all the way.
Yeah.
But kind of the next thing that we're focused on is walkability around the city. There's a lot of areas where the city doesn't have sidewalks.
Yeah.
We've enacted where golf carts are legal. We see a lot of people at the city center with golf carts, bicycles. So some of our sidewalks are, they've been there, they've served their purpose, but they're not wide enough to even walk side by side. When Jody and I go walk, we have to walk front to back, or wherever us is walking in the grass, so really wanting to expand out from the city center and go to tying the rest of the community to it with multi-use pass, and the next big project that we want to tackle.
Yeah, you got a very busy downtown. I mean, you got high schools here, you got businesses here, big commercial businesses, and then all the local government right here on the square too. So you got a lot of cars and people in general.
We have 75,000 people a day in the city, and we're a city of less than 10,000.
Yeah.
So we're where everybody comes to do business. So we have to deal with all that traffic and people, even though they don't spend the night here.
And the hospital and marketplace and all that's part of the city too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Well, we're going to hit home a little bit, but then how often does mayor
with attorneys? Pretty frequently, our city attorney, and it's as the mayor, you want to make sure you don't want to do something wrong.
Right.
And then find out after the fact, I shouldn't have done that, right? So if you ever got a doubt, then you talk to the attorney, and so Kevin Talent does a great job for us. And
yep. And they're right across the lobby there, so we get to see him in his bow tie every day.
Yep, the bow tie.
What's your general take on the legal profession? Are you a fan of it? Something you like to avoid?
So I actually, when I got out of high school, I thought I wanted to be a lawyer.
Okay.
And as I was working right after high school, I had some friends that graduated law school at Georgia and couldn't get a job. And I'm like, I don't want to spend all this time going to college and I can't get a job. So I ended up going in the building business.
I think it worked out.
Yeah. So, and I don't think I'm suited for sitting in an office most of the time.
It's
tough moving.
Yep. That's one of my biggest struggles is sitting there behind the desk for 8-10 hours and just trying to work. I like to be outside. So get out and go take a walk around the parking lot or something, clear my head. So you said Kevin's a good attorney, does a good job for you. What's something that you think makes a good lawyer?
Just, I think there's differences in, and I don't want to take this the wrong way, of the law's black and white, and then, but how do you navigate the law?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's, there's things that may come up and they go, well, we can't do, the goal is this, we can't do it this way, but we can go about it this way and still be within the law, right? So that I think is Yep.
And I know you got Chris Light, who's a lawyer that's on your city council. Do you have any other lawyers?
No. Christopher's the only one.
Do you ever use his legal expertise, or is he just a...
Christopher's Mr. Recusal.
Okay.
So most of the time, if we have a zoning hearing, Christopher can't vote because of the law he practices. Right. So we like giving him a hard time, saying he's Mr. Recusal.
I'm going to start using it.
Yeah.
What do you think is a good way that lawyers to get involved locally that you see as a need?
Locally is in the community or in... Yeah, I mean, the community involvement doesn't matter what profession, it's, we can always use more people involved in the community and
sure,
helping out with nonprofits and that kind of stuff. And I think that just comes down to caring for where you live.
Yeah. No, I agree with that completely. We've got a lot of people, people think that all politicians are lawyers, I feel like. It's just kind of something that goes hand in hand, but I think the majority of politicians are not lawyers.
Yeah.
Now maybe a lawyer offers a different skill set, and like you said, in terms of reading the law and figuring out what you can and can't do.
Right.
Or maybe how to navigate the gray area. But, I think maybe we need more lawyers in politics. I don't know, to try to help with that, but you have an opinion?
No, I think when it comes to politics, you need to be there because you want to be there.
Yeah.
You want to make a difference. That's, if you want to be there for accolades, it's the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Because it brings way more heartache than it does accolades, right?
And for $32 a day.
Yep. $32.87 a day. I got a pay cut this year because it's leap year.
Okay.
So we got one extra day. So I've not done the math. It's too depressing to see, how many pennies a day I lost.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, talking about getting into like a leadership role, like being a mayor, what are some tools, practices, whatever that you use to sort of develop yourself as a leader?
Yeah. So you got to be able to work with people.
Yeah.
And I think my experience as a builder dealing with subcontractors and homeowners and real estate agents, and when you go to build a house, you start from a raw piece of dirt.
Yep.
And you got to come up with a finished product that somebody buys and then they're happy with. So you got to deal with a lot of people to get to that end goal.
Yeah.
And so you've got to realize how to work with people and get the job done.
You mentioned earlier about how you work with constituents quite a lot and interact a lot. What do you think is the best way to ensure that you build their trust and keep?
You got to just be honest. Like I was at a neighborhood, I've had huge support there since I ran, and I was there yesterday, at their just monthly homeowner meeting, and it's a 55 and over neighborhood, and I can remember when I ran, I jokingly ever since called it the Inquisition. I met with about 12 of them in a basement, and they're asking you all these questions, and,
right.
And, I passed with flying colors because I told them the truth.
Yeah.
I'm always going to tell you the truth, whether you like it or you may not like it, and if we disagree, you can at least understand where I'm coming from as to why this decision was made.
Sure.
And a lot of times people will realize, well, I didn't think of that. They didn't think of all the other things that decision going the other way might affect.
I think too, even when we're prepping people for trial or deposition, you may not always have the answer. And I think just being honest and saying, I don't know, but we'll go figure it out.
Right.
That's a decent way to approach it as well.
Exactly.
And you don't ever, especially in national politics, these debates and stuff, nobody ever says, I'm not sure.
Yep. And I can't answer a question and not answer your question.
Right.
That drives me insane. If it's a real politician, when you ask them, is the sky blue, and they talk for 30 minutes and then they didn't say yes or no.
Right.
It's kind of easy. It's blue. Yeah. Today it's blue. Yeah.
Or it's blue, but let me tell you how I figured that out.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Qualified after you answer the question. As well. What are some pitfalls that you've seen, probably along the terms of honesty, but what are some pitfalls you've seen other community leaders make that you may have learned from?
That's a tough one. Nothing's coming to mind. Nothing's really coming to mind.
Yeah, maybe just not being honest.
Yeah. That's one of those I'm not going to get into.
Yeah.
It's just not city government related.
That works. Well, let's bring it back into the community, then local community, and talk about we have a ton of organizations here in Forsyth County that people can get involved in that you talked about a minute ago. But why should someone get involved in the community? And do you have any recommendations on where somebody should start?
Yeah, so I think that once you get involved with it and see, everybody has different causes. We've got all kinds of nonprofits, and for me, it's people with special needs, and I've always had a heart for that since I was a little kid. I had a family member that was Down syndrome, and so seeing that as a child and then on up, I've always just had a passion for special needs, whether it be Down syndrome or autism or, there's a wide range of things. And so because they can't help it, they didn't ask for that,
right?
But when you get involved with one of those organizations and you're helping out and you see the change and you see how it helps somebody, it's really enjoyable to say, hey, I helped that person.
Sure.
And it's just helping your fellow man. There's a lot to be said for that.
I hope we can get Steve Kirby on here talking about special needs and the Miracle League that he runs. That's a cool program. So maybe we can get him on here to talk about that.
I had a lot of fun in the fair. I had some Miracle League kids that I rode on the golf cart through the 4th of July parade. And then the city float was behind me, and then they had to keep blowing the horn. And we had them buckled in, but one boy kept wanting he'd unbuckle, and then he'd jump out. And I don't know it. I'm driving the cart down the down the street. We're going very slow, but then have to stop and
get him back in the car.
Get him back in the cart, buckle him up, and say, hey, you got to ride till we get to the end. And then the next time traffic would stop, boom, he's gone again.
He's living his best life out there.
We had a lot of fun. I know he did, making that trip. But I'm starting later this month. We're starting a mayor's council for disabilities.
Okay.
And so it's open to the public, anybody that's got a heart for it, or if you've got a special needs child, or if you have any expertise, I invite you to come to City Hall at October 23rd at 6, and we're going to see what kind of difference we can make, find out what the problems are that we think we can solve, and then go about solving them.
You said October 26th?
23rd.
23rd. Okay. Yes. Okay. We'll get
at 6 o'clock.
Try to put a link in the podcast so people can see that. Is there a website or anything to go to for it?
We've got the logo done, and then we'll be progressing forward with that. This is our first meeting and kind of an organizational kind of thing, and try to figure out what issues that we can tackle and hopefully solve. Yeah. And then when we solve one, we'll move on to the next one.
When you get something put together that folks can go to, let us know. We'll put it out there.
Well, that's the date. That's the first meeting. So it's all open to the public.
Okay. Talking about the mayor's council, kind of off topic a little bit, but do you interact with other mayors in the area or in the state?
A little bit. A little bit. Not a lot, but because I don't. There's all kinds of conferences you can go to and all that stuff, but I've just never really, you're so busy.
Sure.
Working, trying to make a living and running the city.
Yep.
That it's hard to find time. And the ones that I did go to, it just seemed more like it's a little retreat, like you're really not learning anything, so I kind of stopped going.
Okay. I don't blame you.
If you could go back to, we'll say, your first day in office, or maybe when you're about to run, and you could give some advice to yourself.
I mean, it's really just, you got to put the hours in, which I have. I can go to bed at night knowing, one of my slogans was, nobody will work harder for you. And I think I've done that.
Yeah.
Definitely put the time in, but it's sometimes it takes away from the family, that, no, I got to go do this. I've got to go do that. It's this Friday night. It could be I'm going out to dinner with my wife. Instead, I'm going to give a trophy out at a football game, so it definitely eats into your family time.
I guess when you got started, your kids were still teenagers. And
both were in school.
Okay. How'd they like Dad being mayor?
They didn't really care. It didn't matter to them.
That's awesome.
It didn't matter to them. I guess one thing that both of them can say is the first time they ever voted, they got to vote for their dad.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
That is pretty neat. Yeah, I cannot say that.
That was pretty cool.
I don't think Dad's qualified to run for anything. So if you're looking to get involved in some sort of organization, whether it's politics or nonprofit, whatever, you think just pick something you're passionate about and go with it.
Yep, that'd be my recommendation.
Okay. Do you know of any offhand that need help, need groups or?
No, in here again, just because I'm passionate about it, Creative Enterprises, Keystone Village. But then we've got others, Forsyth, or Family Haven, Family Promise, The Place.
Yep.
Jesse's House. There's No Longer Bound. I mean, they're just the list, and I don't feel bad because I'm not naming them all. But there's a lot of them out there that all have their own cause and thing that they try to fix. So it's whatever. There'll be a problem out there that will fall in the wheelhouse for every single person, that they could help with.
Absolutely. What do you think? You want to move it into the fun questions?
All right.
So we'll start with the easy one.
Neither. I'm a Mopar guy. Dodge and Plymouth.
Okay. That's first. We haven't had that one.
Chain coffee or local coffee shop? If so, which one?
Yeah, you want to say
Diet Coke. I don't drink coffee.
Don't drink coffee.
I'm an oddball, evidently.
So I'll ask this one. I think you're a Braves fan, right?
Yep.
You got to throw out a first pitch this season, didn't you?
I did.
What was that like?
And that was really cool.
Yeah.
That's because I played competitive softball, for about 35 years. I just retired earlier this year because of shoulder surgery. And
yeah, you can see, probably see the bruise in the video.
But yeah, that was really cool. That was quite an honor.
Yeah. Chris was telling us a little bit about it. They got to go down and watch us throw it out. I think that'd be incredible.
Yeah.
Just to get to go on the field and do that.
The catcher asked, "You gonna throw me a fastball, curveball?" I said, "Knuckleball." He said, "Nobody's ever thrown me a knuckleball." And I said, "Well, it's like this. If you miss it, I can blame it on the knuckleball. You couldn't catch it." And I got lucky. I couldn't have thrown a better pitch. He never moved his glove. So
nice.
If you'd have gave me 100 more tries, they wouldn't have been as good as the one shot I had.
Do you think you could hit a professional pitcher?
Maybe.
Maybe. All right.
I can hit a softball a long way, but
yeah,
it's not coming in at 99 miles an hour.
Who's your favorite Brave of all time?
Of all time, Dale Murphy.
All right. Good one.
Are you a Dogs fan?
Definitely.
How do you think they'll do this season?
I think we got a good shot. I'm not 100% on we're going to win it all, but we'll be there near the end.
What's the last book you read?
The last book I read, I'm halfway through it, but I'd like to throw it out there. It's called The Book of Heaven.
Okay.
And that's by a mother and her son that live in Cumming. They just moved here in the last year, and he's nonverbal autistic, but has learned to speak through pointing at a laminated card with numbers and letters. But he can read your mind.
Really?
I've witnessed it. I've seen it. I know it's true.
That's cool.
They were at City Hall, and she asked me to write a word on a piece of paper, and he's 40 feet away at the other side of the council chambers. I wrote it down, folded it up, and she asked him to come over and ask what did I write on that piece of paper, and he spelled it out.
Really?
And he had done it for another city councilman right before me.
What's the name of the book again?
The Book of Heaven.
Book of Heaven. Okay.
And so I'm about halfway. It's a long book. I'm about halfway through.
I'll check it out. If you could have dinner with any historical figure ever, who would it be and why?
Ronald Reagan.
Okay. I like it. That's a first as well. Last meal you ever get to eat, what are you going to have and where's it from?
We'll go with pizza.
Okay. Any particular pizza or just pizza?
Well, it was somewhere in Chicago, but I don't remember the name of the restaurant, but it was a true deep dish Chicago pizza.
What's your favorite thing to do in a trust with?
Sit down and watch TV.
Yeah. Nothing.
What's the favorite vacation?
Any national park in the mountains.
You do that too. I went to Acadia National Park last year.
Yep. We went there, and my wife just got back from Glacier. So, yeah, we've been there before as well. It's good. Really good.
That's on the list. We were supposed to do it 4 years ago, and then COVID wrecked our vacation, but
Right.
we'll get it back on the books. What about a skill or a hobby that you picked up recently?
Well, with the shoulder surgery, I've learned to do a lot of things left-handed.
Yeah. Good. Is there any one item you can't live without?
Yeah.
No? I like it.
Do you have a favorite quote or mantra?
And this was going back to Ronald Reagan. My wife and I went out to the Reagan Museum, and on his desk while he was in the White House, there was a leather plaque that said, "It can be done." And so I bought the vinyl version of that, and it's in my office at City Hall, but it can be done. So we don't always look at, oh, you can't do this for this reason.
Yeah.
We figure out how you can do it. So.
See, your police chief said it is what it is. That was his book. It can be done. I think I like that one.
I'll remind him it can be done.
Yeah, it can be done. It is what it is, but it can be done. And do you have a favorite podcast?
Favorite podcast? I got to call out my buddy Wham Bam. Wham Bam's podcast, but you guys will be number 2.
I like it. That's what you were supposed to say. Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you coming out, just giving us a little insight into what it's like to be a mayor. I think it's fascinating. I really do, and appreciate all you've done for the city and the community.
Thanks for having me.
If we can do anything to help you out, let us know for sure. Is there anywhere people can go to find out more about Cumming or you or anything like that?
Yeah, so cityofcumming.net's the city's website.
Okay.
And then cummingcitycenter.net for the city center. Okay. It kind of covers it all.
Perfect. And likewise, if you want to find us, bettismusgrove.com, all your social media now, TikTok, Facebook, the whole 9 yards. Find the podcast on anywhere podcast is offered. And if we could ever be assistance to anybody, let us know. Yeah, hope you come back and join us one day.
Just let me know. I'd love to.
All right. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. God bless.